You wrote a piece about Davis Schneider having the best offensive start to a major league career ever. Before last night's offer, he had a 1.315 OPS through 25 games. It was the highest of all time. And I guess for anyone who didn't read the article, they should go to MLB.com and read it. But spoil it for us. Will Davis Schneider finish his career as the greatest hitter of all time?
Only if he stops playing after today. I mean,
Okay.
this is actually it's an easy one to write because the Blue Jays haven't played for the last 3 days, so I didn't
Yes.
have to update any of the numbers. So that was nice. Everybody watching has seen Davis Schneider do amazing things, right? So you don't necessarily need fancy numbers to know that this guy's off to a massive start. At the same time, if you can say, no, literally in baseball history, no one has started their career like this. I think that's a pretty cool thing to be able to say. It's funny. I actually got a nice note from his dad yesterday
Aw.
saying, "This is amazing. Thanks for writing about him. Like, our family's so happy." Like, of course, as you would be. But there's some cautionary tales too. Like, if you look at the list of the best starts through 25 games, like, sure, you'll see like Reese Hoskins and Albert Pujols and Willie McCovey. You also see Mandy Brooks from the 1925 Cubs, who I know a lot more about today than I did yesterday.
Man, there was some old shortstop named Arky Vaughan that came up on the show yesterday because he's the only guy in 1935 with a higher OPS at shortstop than Corey Seager has this year. And now we're going, what's the name you just said?
I said Mandy Brooks. Archie Vaughn's a Hall of Famer. He drowned in like a swimming pool or something. He's a very famous
Well,
story.
I didn't know about the drowning. I know he's a Hall of Famer. I just mean we're throwing back to the 30s and 20s a lot on this show this week to contextualize guys is all. Okay, so obviously there are cautionary tales within there, but we are better equipped now than we were in the 20s and 30s to dig in on a guy's hot start and try to figure out what might be real. You did that. What stands out to you about what Schneider's done that you think is something, hey, he can sustain and, not at a 1.3 OPS level, but pretty good indicators he owns some real offensive skills here?
Yeah, that's the trick, right? Like, he's not going to slug 800 or whatever he's at forever. And it's only 100 and something plate appearances. And we know for some of these things, like batting average, especially, you need hundreds and hundreds, maybe even 1,000 plate appearances to kind of get a feel of like what's real and what's not just like good luck. And the things that we can key on pretty quickly for a batter. Plate disciplines like the very first thing, so he has the lowest chase rate in all baseball right now, or at least when I wrote this the other day. So he does not go outside the strike zone, and that's a really valuable skill. I mean, that's what Juan Soto does. That's what Mookie Betts does, and that's meaningful pretty quickly. And to say that this far into his career, nobody has chased less often than he has, that is meaningful to me. And then you look at like the walk rate in his minor league career, that's something he's done. I'm very confident in saying this man will walk a lot. And when you look at the last like decade worth of seasons of guys who have walked at least like 15% of the time, it's really hard to do that and not be at least above average. So even though he doesn't hit the ball that hard, he keeps it off the ground better than like anybody at all. And he's not going to chase. And I don't think he's going to be an all-star every year, but I do think he's going to be an average to above average hitter for years to come just based on that skill set. That's pretty good to have.
It is. So you don't have to destroy the ball. Obviously, it's great if you do, but by having a very low chase rate, you force pitchers into the zone and to give you pitches you can at least barrel up. It's a pretty good approach. Now, the absolute extreme of this is something Eno Saras has joked about. I know you referenced it in your piece. Is like, yeah, statistically, the way we see the more and more selective you are, hitters just shouldn't swing. But you have to have that ability to barrel up a ball underneath it. You can't just take the walks. And part of this is, you said the barrel rate is exit velocity combined with launch angle. And, it tells us something about the quality of contact there. He also just, by a way of not hitting the ball on the ground, that does a lot for him too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hitting the ball on the ground is essentially death unless you are extremely fast or you can place it very well. And if you're not going to hit the ball that hard, like he doesn't, you need to make sure you place it in a way where you're going to get the absolute most out of it. And that's what he's done, right? He hits it in the air, but not pop ups. He hits it down the line and not to dead center field. He is, I don't want to say like a limited hitter because that's not fair, but it's clear he's not going to be a Aaron Judge, John Carlos Stanton, Vlad at his best kind of exit velocity monster. That's not his game. So what it seems to me that he's done is really taken the skills that he has and kind of keyed in his game on what will work best for him. Like it's never a one size fits all thing. It's lovely to say you should hit the ball hard. Everybody wants to hit the ball hard, Billy Hamilton, that's not someone who's gonna hit the ball hard. His skills are somewhere else, and I think that's what teams and players are getting better at. It's not just what works for everybody. It's like, "What works for me? What skills do you have? What can we improve upon? What's less likely to be improved upon? We're probably not gonna teach you to hit the ball 118 all the time. So what can we do within the skill set you have?" And that's what I think has really been, successful here.